Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. My name is Kelly. If you're new to this channel is all about creating print-on-demand designs. A little backstory, I've been doing print-on-demand for a few years now. I currently sell on Amazon Merch on Demand now. It used to be Merch by Amazon, so that's confusing. I sell on Redbubble, I sell on Etsy via the Printful integration and Printify integration. I also sell on Amazon Seller Central, and like so many of us, I actually got started on Teespring. And then most recently, I have started selling on KDP. So I've got a little bit of a wide background here. Now, how I got into print on demand is kind of the basic story. I was looking for some way to make some supplemental income. Times are tough. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, which means I have a lot of student loans and I don't make a lot of money. I'm also a single mom. So I was, scanning YouTube looking for any kind of videos on how to make supplemental income from home, and print on demand was one that really jumped out at me. And so that's how I started. Now, one thing you should know about print on demand, it is not a get rich quick scheme. It will not make you a lot of money overnight. It is not passive income. So if anybody says, hey, it's passive income, it's really not. If you want to be successful with print on demand, you pretty much have to be working on it on a regular basis. You have to stay up to date on current trends and, on styles, on niches. You need to be able to do research. You need to be constantly uploading new material and having a very diverse portfolio. So it's not passive, and it will, sorry, I have dogs. It is not passive income. It will take you a lot of time to build a portfolio. Think of it like this. If you have 100 different designs up, you may only sell 20 of them. That means 80 of your designs may never sell at all. So it's a bit of a numbers game. If you want to make a lot of money on print on demand, you need to have hundreds, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of designs up across as many platforms as you can. You need to take up as much online space as you can to increase your odds of making a sale, right? It is a very competitive industry, so there are a lot of people currently doing print on demand. Fortunately, it's also a very growing industry. There's a lot more people who are buying things online now than ever before, and especially with Amazon, you have a lot of opportunities to make sales through Amazon, and not just through the Merch by Amazon or Amazon Merch on Demand, but also through Amazon Seller Central, which I also sell on using the Printful integration. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get your products on Amazon. And if you're using something like Printful or Printify, then you can deal with a lot more products than just t-shirts. All of us think about t-shirts when we're thinking print on demand, but I have sold so many different things. Obviously, there's t-shirts, there's hats, there's mugs, there's notebooks. I have sold flags, stickers, tapestries of all things, pretty much all over the world in so many different countries that it's kind of astounding. A lot of the sales I make to other countries are through Etsy. Etsy has a very good global reach. Now, when you get started on print on demand, you also have to realize that it's not entirely free to start with. It's definitely low cost to start with. So if you're looking for something that you can get into that doesn't have, a lot of startup fees, it's a good one. And you can start with as many free applications as you want, but eventually if you're going to be serious with it, you are going to have to put a little bit of money into it. So, I started, and with things like Etsy, there's a 20-cent fee per listing. So, you put up 100 listings at 20 cents, a listing, you're having to put a little bit of money into that. And then if you're using Printful to put up your Etsy listings, they do have mock-ups, but their mock-ups aren't that great. You might not get a lot of sales, so eventually you might want to use your own mock-ups. And Etsy there's a lot of shops that sell mock-ups of particular products, like a Gildan shirt or a Bella Canvas shirt if you're trying to get something very specific, or there's a lot of other applications that sell mock-ups, but eventually you might want to put some money into that. If you sell on Amazon through Amazon Seller Central, I think it's like $40 a month now to sell. And then, of course, if you're doing any kind of research, which you should be doing, there's a lot of different research tools out there. Most of them do cost money. Right now, I use Pretty Merch Pro pretty much Pro Plus, I think it is. That one's pretty cheap. That's only like $13 a month. But I can do all my research there. And then there's also, Merch Informer I've used in the past, Flying Research. So there's a few different ones, but they all cost a little bit of money. And then just in terms of the software you use for your designing, obviously if you're on this channel, I use Canva. I do have a Canva Pro account, so you can use Canva for free, but a lot of the features that you may want to use are locked unless you get a pro account. So if print on demand is something that you want to do seriously and you want to be able to make a lot of money at, eventually you're going to need to put some money in. And it's not a lot. These are all relatively small costs, but it's not free. So you kind of have to get rid of the idea that it's free to start. You have to get rid of the idea that it's completely passive income. And you can't think that you're going to make a lot of money right away, because it does take a long time to sort of build up your presence. Back to what I said before about having to have up hundreds, if not thousands of designs. It's going to take you some time to create hundreds, if not thousands of designs. That's not something you're going to do overnight. And some of the platforms have a little bit of a steeper learning curve than others. Merch by Amazon, which I'm never going to forget saying that wrong. Amazon Merch on Demand is one of the simpler ones to use. It's pretty easy. But something like Etsy, that has a little bit of a learning curve to it. So it takes a while to kind of learn the platform. So again, don't get discouraged. It is a little bit of a slow start, but what happens is you build, and year after year, it continues to build. And what you're looking for is eventually that exponential growth where you're kind of going, not really sales, oop, a couple, and then it just starts. And that's what you obviously want. So don't get discouraged. You do have to stick with it. Everybody who's been successful at print on demand has one thing in common, and that is that they are very persistent, and that they keep going, and that they put up a lot of designs in varying categories. Now, that is another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of your portfolio. You want it to be very diverse. So there's a difference between things like trends, evergreens, and like seasonal designs. So for example, a seasonal design would be something like Christmas, Halloween, holidays that come around the same time every year, and every year you can expect to make sales on those designs, but typically only during that time of year, right? An evergreen might be something like a birthday shirt, Every day of the year there's going to be somebody who's turning 29, or there's going to be somebody who's turning 30. So if you have a birthday shirt for a 30-year-old female, it could sell year round, year after year after year. That's an example of an evergreen. And then of course you've got your trends. Trends will come on usually very quickly, very strong, but they will also kind of disappear just as quickly. So if you're lucky enough to catch a trend, you can make a lot of money, but only for a very short period of time, after which you're not likely to sell that design sometimes ever again. I was lucky during the last presidential inauguration. There were a lot of shirts selling for Madame Vice President Kamala Harris, and there was one that said, "I'm speaking." It was a popular quote at the time. I happened to sell a lot of those on Inauguration Day, and for about a month or two following, after which I have not sold a single one of those in over a year. So that would be an example of a trend. It came on fast and it disappeared just as quickly. And so, you're lucky if you can catch those, but that's not going to keep making you money year after year after year. So if you want this to be something that brings in consistent income for you, something where you're able to make money, every month, every year, and you want it to continue to grow, you have to have a portfolio that has a little bit of everything. Sure, you want to go after the trends, and that's great, and you definitely should, but you also have to have a good amount of evergreens, and you definitely want to have some of those seasonal designs in there too. And when it comes to seasonal designs, don't always just think the big holidays. Obviously, Halloween is coming up. That's a big one. And then you've got Christmas, and that's a big one. But you also have to think about seasonal things that aren't holidays, like the start of school is the same time every year. And right now, start of school shirts are selling a lot. 100 days of school, that's another big one in January or February, depending on the school district. There's 100 day of school shirts. So those would be example of seasonal shirts, but they're not necessarily holidays. Also things like awareness months. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is in October every year. So every year in October, you might find that breast cancer awareness shirts are selling well. So make sure that you've got a pretty diverse portfolio. Sometimes you might want to plan it out. I do have another video that goes over different niches for every month of the year. And so it's going over more seasonal niches. And that's a good one if you're looking for a way to get started on that. I do want to do a video on niche research because somebody was asking about that, but I also wanted to give you a little bit of a background overview if you were unsure just getting into this. So I hope this was a useful video for you guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments section below. I try to get back to them as quickly as I can. And if you want to request any videos, you can do that in the comment section too, and I'll do my best to accommodate. I have gotten a few requests for videos, so again, I hope you found this useful. Take care. I hope to see you again. And as always, stay creative and keep growing.